This was like I saw it later. What's the deal where you come out at night to see someone? Mayhem? Doesn't look like it. Nope. No, Bobby and Jackie. Bobby's in the plaque. Yeah, you can sure do. Good. Back to work. I missed you this morning. You were by me. Okay. Oh yeah. There he is, the man of the hour.
Hey, how you doing? Looking good. Looks good. Really? My buddy, just
Go check it out.
just got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh, that's a bad one.
No, that's actually the best one because it's easy to what's that? No.
Find one that I will like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm still growing. I think so too. Yeah. How are you?
I say to him,
You look just like your dad. Yeah? Thank you.
like they're not short. What happened?
How are you? Are you taking any supplements?
Literally gonna grow for
I'm not a big one for pill popping a lot, but you know, I use weight bearing journals at my work, and that's not
Not too much.
so they get
Yeah, well, my back, they kind of messed up. I've got
that can be
genital
really
spinal
helpful because it's
stenosis.
natural anti-inflammatory.
Where my spinal canal, usually, yeah. Well, it happens to like people when they're usually in their like 80s, you know, and I've been having this for like 10 years now. So, basically,
What doctor found it?
there's a neurosurgeon that I did an MRI, and then he said you got, you know.
So you didn't have to do a test?
Lazy and I haven't been taking
No.
That's the only thing
So,
I'm really consistent.
Basically, I've had about 5 surgeries
I just
in the
don't like all
last
the pills.
6 months.
With that one exception.
Has it helped?
No, there's one more thing we could do is this neuromodulator that they can implant in you, and then it'll help heal your back. But yeah, so when your spinal canal goes down, it should be the size of like a 50-cent piece. Mine's the size of like a nickel or a dime. So it pinches all those nerves. So I can't even stand for that long, or I can't.
I would think sitting would be worse.
Sitting
Nobody carries
no,
So you can't really work out or anything.
I wasn't a big fan of it.
Good.
Trailer there.
It's something that you live in, right?
A trailer is something you live in?
You lost the gun in your car. So the RV, that was a
Trailer is something you live in.
yeah.
I know what a trailer is.
Wow.
Yeah, she said, like, what are you doing?
So we've enough.
But put it on your butt.
So it's just really hot that we have it.
Getting backwards.
Yeah.
Chad made a sandwich.
I know. And they eat like not for a while. I went over this is the part lemonade.
Did they have a program then?
All they mentioned was, we did our evaluation.
Oh my God, they're brothers. They're saying they're like the same.
Yeah.
They said 6 months to a year.
Yeah. That's the same thing. They're like, you know, some people it's 8 months, some people it's 6 months.
That's all right.
They said 6 months to a year, so I was like,
Yeah, for like 2 years.
yeah.
It's like Thursday, it's like you need to give it.
Yeah, so I can't walk that far, you know.
Get some of the information.
My grandparents were
I'm literally.
I need to get into the first.
It is exactly what it is. You know? So I got
You'll like it.
No, the last time I went to
Hi, hi.
Sure.
Yeah. I prefer to not.
comes in and goes,
I won't put it on my phone. I'll do it on my computer as a video.
Oh, really?
Sending her son to a Spanish immersion, which is
Not that anymore.
I think, I don't know, I like the idea, but part of me is like,
Yeah, no, I don't want to get
Put it on there. They have another doctor.
letter recognition and reading stuff, something like that. But I and they actually found very reassuring to me. Mason struggled
well, I mean, there's got to be a little bit of
had the best first grade teacher.
Yeah, and you know you can dock it right in front of the rocks.
The younger readers had lower comprehension even when they were 10.
big faces in the back.
They have better comprehension.
You've not eaten your chicken and you're not
Actually
your
serves them more for the long run. So part of me feels like, oh, I don't know about that. And the other part of me says, well, as long as they get it off their
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you, Chad? Good. Yeah, nice to see you. How long are you back for now?
A couple months. We'll be here most of summer. You know, we have the baby coming in a few weeks, and then we'll hang out for a couple months after until we can get the shots, immunization, and then we'll go back.
So you're not anti-vaxxer then?
No.
Kind of have to be.
Yeah, I mean, we try to wait as long as possible, so like, and they like to do all these shots at once. We usually try to spread them out, but other than that, yeah.
So you didn't have plans to go back on?
Yeah, probably August. It's great timing. Spend the summer here.
Yeah, go back there.
Right about
Right about the time it's about to get cold here.
Yeah, it's like there. It's like perpetual summer. It's like in the 70s, 80s all year round.
Are you still doing the power plant?
Yeah, we're doing the power plant. You know, right now there's an engineering firm from Arizona that's doing all of our designs. So they're hopefully be done in the next 60 days or so. And then we have to find a contractor to build it. So there's still a few steps before we start it.
Barely. Yeah.
All right, thank you everybody for coming out today. We appreciate you coming out to celebrate with us and folks on their 50th anniversary. Big thank you to all the folks that helped out in the kitchen and and Aesop's table with the catering for the food. I think they did a great job with the food. We're going to have a couple people come up and say some things, and if anybody else would like to also come on up and say a few words, please feel free when the mic is open. So, Matt, I believe you're first up.
Yeah.
A couple of studio wrong.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So I think I know most everybody here. For those that don't know me, I'm Matt. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. I actually wanted to do a simple exercise to start off with. For those that are married, can you put your hand here?
Married?
Yep, you're married. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
If you've been married longer than 5 years, will you keep your hand in the air? You two should have your hand up, by the way.
Okay.
10 years? 10 years? If you've been married longer than 20 years, will you keep your hand up? Yeah, that's you back there. 40 years? Longer than 40? Wow. More hands than I expected. 45? 49? 50? Wow. How about a round of applause for everybody that's So what are you at?
50, we'll be 53.
53. Wow.
In December we will.
In 2 years we'll be 53. But he's still is, how many years have you?
53.
Well,
So 51, we've got to dispute 54. So we've got a 54 back here. Congratulations.
Marilyn was cream puff. Has been dead 2.5 years.
Kind of gives me a feeling that there's a lot of wisdom in the room, I guess. So I wanted to share a couple stories or two, I guess, that I think of when I think of my parents when we were kids. There was one time that we were living in Maryland, and we would play ball on the side of the house. And if you looked at the side of our house, kind of sloped down on the one side, and we'd take a ball, if it was a tennis ball or whatever, we'd throw it up in the air. And when we were kids, I don't know, we must have been like 5 or 10 years old. I don't know how old we were, but it seemed like that roof was like really high. And the ball would go over, you wouldn't see where it went, and then it would come flying back down. The game was to catch it, and you wouldn't have much time to react. So we didn't always make the ball on the roof. Sometimes it hit the window, hit the gutter, dented the gutter, smacked the side of the house, or whatever. One of us was a spotter. One of us would sit on the corner and look for mom or dad coming around the corner. And I usually had that job. And the call signal was, "Hi, Dad." So the other guys knew it was time to run. That was a lot of fun, but I guess one of the things, the moral of the story is that it taught me tolerance. My dad, he'd come in, he'd break it up, and then he'd be on very quickly. Another time that I had, I recall, is when we were living in Maryland too, and you guys had company over, and you were saying your goodbyes at the front door, and we were running through the house, and someone caught, I think it was me, caught their foot as they were running by on the coffee table, snapped the leg right off the coffee table, and it sent the thing crashing to the ground, right in front of the guests as they were saying goodbye. So that taught me restraint, I guess, because from what I know, I didn't die that day, but I probably was close to it. Both my parents were disciplinarians when we were younger, but we really fear our father. There is a story of a wooden spoon that Chris can share at some point, I think, getting hit with a wooden spoon. But nowadays, I think tables have turned and now they fear us. So, there's always that to look forward to. I guess. My mom was always there to care for us when we skinned a knee or bruised an arm, or had stitches put in across our forehead, or whatever the case was. Thank you to Chris for that one. I'll never forget that, and I think you still owe me a bite for that one. Anyways, I don't think you see the scars anymore, so I think we're good there. But really what it all boils down to are the qualities that they share that help make 50 years of marriage work. So a couple things that come to my mind, or observations that I've had that make this work, are compassion, persistence, tolerance, a lot of tolerance, love, faith, strength. I don't know if anyone's filled out the cards, but if you see that there are cards on the table, does anybody see anything that's written on those cards? What people might have said about them? If you have something, shout it out, I guess.
Supportive.
Supportive.
Committed and wonderful.
Committed and wonderful.
I would put fun.
Fun.
Energizer bunnies.
Energizer bunnies. I did see that one back there somewhere.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Gracious.
Courteous. Tommy's got one. What do you got, Tommy? Courteous. Oh, sorry. Okay. Is there anything else? So, caring. These aren't just my observations, I guess. These are also folks that are in this room, the same observations that we've all kind of come to. I just want to say thank you for being an unprecedented role model for me and my two brothers. You set the bar higher than most all of us, I think, will ever achieve. I thank you for that. I really couldn't ask for a better set of parents, so thank you very much. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you both. Did you want some music on or something? You mentioned some music at some point. Now I can go back to eating my
I think you should. We heard you before.
You've heard me before and you don't want to hear me again. Actually, boys, I don't think we fear you. I've gotten to the point where, frankly, they help us so much, and there's a good feeling when you get older and your kids start looking out after you. How are you doing? And they know you need help. And it's like, maybe we did something right, because they're kind of taking care of us, so I appreciate that. I thought I'd say just a few things here. One of the words that comes to mind when you get to this age, and you all know what that word is. It's old. And, you know, we don't feel old, but the fact of the matter is, there are no middle-aged people who have 50 years of marriage. So I guess the word does somehow apply to us, although kindly they may call us senior citizens, but that's a little bit nicer. And when I think about how we got here, you know, it's like we found a shortcut. I'm not quite sure how we got here this quickly. You know, and I've heard of such things as like a wormhole in time and space. You can travel long distances quickly. But the problem is I have no clue how to find a wormhole like that. All I know is we're here after 50 years, and how it happened is a bit of a mystery. What I'd like to do is something that old people can do, and that's reminisce. So I'm going to tell a few stories, if you don't mind. And the stories are stories the boys haven't heard before. And now the reason they haven't heard the stories before is because in the overall scheme of things, they were not particularly important. They were somewhat inconsequential. They weren't life-changing stories. But the reason I remember them is they were interesting. And so hopefully, as I repeat them, they'll be interesting, and hopefully they'll be interesting to all of you. So, in 1964, Sharon and I were engaged. And in the summer of that year, I turned 22, and I was still living at home. And in the fall of that year, I enlisted in the Air Force. So that meant for the first time in my life, I'm going to leave home, I'm going to leave town, I'm going to leave the state. Eventually I left the country, but I was going, and I knew this was going to be a big change. So I didn't know what to expect. But I thought, this has to be an adventure, does it not? I don't know what's coming, but this is going to be interesting. I don't know what Sharon thought. She probably wasn't that excited about it. But frankly, I was kind of looking forward to this change. And so, on that fall day, October, I did fly down to Texas, where the basic training is, and said goodbye. And in fact, when I think about leaving, the one thing the GIs have in common is you never know where you're going, you don't know where you're going to be, what the future holds, so things are always in a state of flux. There was a song that was popular a long time before I was in the service. In fact, if you go back to the Second World War, in the 1940s, there's a song called "We'll Meet Again." You probably don't recognize that title, but you would probably recognize the tune if you heard it.
Sing it.
It was sung by Frank Sinatra, Perry Como, Peggy Lee. I found a version on YouTube. See, I can't do this. That's what you have time for. It was Johnny Cash singing "We'll Meet Again." You want to play just a few seconds of it. The first two lines.
We'll meet again.
We'll meet again.
Don't know where.
Don't know where.
Don't know when.
Don't know when.
But I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
That's fine, thank you. That was kind of the attitude, you know. I know I'm coming back, but I don't know where I'm going, don't know when I'll be back, but I'll see you later. So I went down there and I started my basic training. And, you know, I was keeping my head down just to kind of make sure that I'm doing what I'm told to do and adapting to everything that's brand new. And, you know, part of basic training, part of boot camp is they're going to teach you lots of things. Part of it is in the classroom, part of it is in the parade grounds where you're learning how to march. To my surprise, there are some people who cannot stay in step. I never quite understood that. And what was interesting, there were very few of them, but eventually they disappeared. And I don't know where they went. So I surmise that they took all the people who couldn't stay in step, put them in their own squad. And so if they're all out of step together, they may look like they're in step. But anyway, they disappeared. But I was marching okay, because I stayed with my original group. You go to the firing range, learn how to shoot straight. You learn how to fold your clothes in a very specific manner. And I remember thinking, I should remember this, because I could take my t-shirt, my undies, my socks, I could make them into the smallest, densest ball possible by folding them the way they taught me. And I thought, this is something I should remember. I don't. But at the time I thought, this might have a practical application, but it's gone. Then once you folded them, you had to put them in your foot locker, and you had to put them in an exact, specific location. Because when they inspected your barracks, the guy would come through and he'd open every foot locker, and every foot locker should look identical. There should be no difference from one to the next. And if there was a difference, then that foot locker would end up upside down in the middle of the floor until he figured it out. Now, eventually, it became apparent that the Air Force really didn't care if I knew how to fold my clothes properly. What they really were trying to teach me is to follow orders. That's all it was. Can you do exactly as you're told so that everyone is doing the same thing? You all have to be on the same page. There's no room for imagination in basic training. You never think outside the box in basic training. You do just exactly what you're told. So anyway, I guess I thought I was doing okay at that. Until one day, I was told to report to the base commander. And I was stunned because now this is the highest ranking guy on the base. And I thought, there is no conceivable reason why someone who is at least a colonel, if not a general, wants to talk to an airman basic. That's the lowest level there is. That's below an airman third class. Why would he want to talk to me? He can't demote me. He can't take a strike away. I don't have any. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So at the appointed time, I showed up, and I knew the protocol. I'm going to salute him, and I'm going to start and end every sentence with the word sir. So it would be sir, Airman Perrin reporting sir. And the shortest sentence you could have in that kind of a situation would be sir, yes sir. Nothing shorter than that. So I said that a few times, sir, yes sir, sir, yes sir. And then I had to elaborate. And then I said, sir, yes, I know a young lady by the name of Sharon Christensen, sir. I thought, where is this going? And then I said, sir, I don't believe I told her I would be home in December, sir. Yes, she is my fiancée, sir. We are going to be married. And then, sir, I understand clearly I will not be home in December, sir. So I had the message. And then eventually I was dismissed and I left. And when I left, I actually was feeling extraordinarily good. He treated me in a reasonable manner. I can't say as equals, but kind of man-to-man, father-son conversation. And certainly in boot camp, there was never a time when anyone who outranked me was nice to me. That just does not happen in boot camp. And so I thought, boy, I'm really feeling good after this conversation. So I went back to the barracks, and at the first opportunity, I called home and I talked to Sharon. And I said, I'm not coming home in December. I'm not sure when I'll be home, but you'll be the first to know. And please, don't write the base commander again. So anyway, when I left, I then went to Mississippi to continue my training. This was their training school, their electronics school. So in Biloxi, Mississippi, I was assigned to a 42-week course of electronics. And once I started that course, which I think was in January then of '65, I knew when my first break would be. So then I called home and I said, Sharon, I will be home the first week in May. And sure enough, the first week in May I came home. And she had done all the preparations, and all I had to do was shine my shoes, and I was very good at that. So we were married just down the road a few blocks in what was Emmanuel Community Church at the time. It's now Grace of Roseville. A few of you remember that old church, great old church. We were married there, and after the wedding ceremony, we went down the basement for the reception. The ladies of the church took care of the reception. They had done all the work. I think we had mixed nuts, mince. There was a punch bowl and maybe coffee, but I didn't drink coffee. And they plated up the cake for us. So that was the reception. And, I realize today that does not measure up. I've had some very nice receptions and had some really good food. But back then, I don't know that Sharon and I could be any happier, to tell the truth. An hour earlier I was single. Now I'm down the basement, I am married, and I'm eating wedding cake with thick frosting on it. It does not get much better than that. So, I thought that was great. Now, we made a recording of the ceremony. And so recently I thought, it's got to be around someplace. So I went down the basement and I found that old record. And I decided to listen to it because I remember making a very minor mistake. I got a little tongue-tied. I understand that you've heard me make modest mistakes when I'm speaking. So anyway, I dug it out, and sure enough, it was almost unnoticeable. But I came to the last line of the vows, and I said, "Till death do us part." And, you know, it was not a big deal, but you know, I'm standing here thinking 50 years till dearth do us part. We're not parted, we're still here. Dearth hasn't happened. So I thought, let's look up dearth. And there is such a word. It's very close to death, but it's dearth, D-E-A-R-T-H. And it means a lack, a famine. There's a shortage of something. There's a dearth of something. And I think one reason, and we're still together, there are probably many, one reason is frankly, I don't think we've lacked for anything.